Listen, you cannot continue to do people wrong, harming innocent people, hurting your loved ones, your friends, and not having any type of remorse for how you treat others, and expect for your latter days to be better than your former days. Because listen, when people go out of their way to live their life where they are shitting on other people, walking all over people, using other people as a personal punching bag, using people as a doormat, walking all over people, treating people as an emotional dumping ground for them to just dump all of their pain and their emotion and their anger and their traumas, and just using other people as a way for them to regulate themselves. Those people, their latter days are not going to be better than their former days. We have seen too many instances of people out here in the world that have been just downright nasty to people for years, decades even. And then later down the line, they end up having horrific things happen to them because all of that karma finally caught up to them. So even if their karma wasn't instant because it was racking it up with how much karma they got hit with, there's so much that comes to them at once. Their health will begin to deteriorate. They will never be the same, because all of the bad that they have done has finally caught up to them, and now it's their turn for them to suffer. Because when God is going to have you suffer, God's going to have you suffer way more than any human being can make you suffer. No, God's going to have you suffer from the inside out, internally. God's going to make, if you made other people suffer internally, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, God is going to make you suffer physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, internally. Because what God can do is far greater than what we can do as humans. You see this as with people in the public eye. First person that comes to name, Abby Lee Miller. Now, I'm a person, I grew up watching Dance Moms. That show came out when I was a freshman in high school. And when I tell you I faithfully watched Dance Moms, absolutely loved the show. Watched all of the girls grow up, love all the girls, love all the moms. And even though Abby Lee Miller is who she is, you see that after the season ended, I mean, even before the whole series ended, you see that part of her karma was her going to prison, her going off to jail. Some of her karma. After she got out of prison, she was diagnosed with cancer. She was in the hospital with cancer, and now that woman is living in a wheelchair and will be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. She lost her ability to walk. Because she walked all over people, now God took away the opportunity and the ability for her to walk in general. And it's definitely her karma, because she built her whole entire business and brand was built off of her walking all over people, being a narcissist, stepping all over people, having favoritism, having a golden child and a scapegoat child. Her whole entire platform was based off of her being nasty to people and walking all over people. Now she done lost her ability to walk. But listen, another person that is getting their karma for what they have done is Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams is another woman who for years, decades, had her entire show, her entire platform. I don't know why the sun is doing that. It's the filter doing that with my shirt. But anyway, Wendy Williams spent her entire platform dogging other people out, gossiping about other people, backbiting, the slander, the lies, the defamation of character, just constantly bombarding people, constantly trying to get inside other people's business, constantly trying to exploit other people for $1. Wendy Williams would sit there and exploit people for a damn dollar. Her entire platform was built off of treating people like shit. And now, her karma is hitting. She has a couple of illnesses. She has frontotemporal something, whatever that was called. And there was this other thing called aphasia. So basically, she's having frontotemporal dementia. Thank you. Frontotemporal, I'm probably saying it wrong. Frontotemporal dementia and aphasia. I'm probably saying that wrong too. Forgive me. Anyway. But basically, she has a form of dementia. Okay? And with dementia, it's memory loss. It's losing like your short-term memory, because Alzheimer's is like losing your long-term memory, while dementia is like losing your short-term memory. And you have people with the dementia, they can be living in a totally different world. They can be going back to totally different times. If you have ever volunteered in a nursing home, or you have been around the elderly, or even, I'm so sorry, if this was any of your parents or grandparents, great aunts or uncles that had dementia, and you saw the deterioration of their brain, of their mind. Like, dementia is literally the deteriorating of your brain. Your brain is no longer functioning the way that it's supposed to function. A person with dementia could be living in, today's date is February 22nd, 2024. They could be living in March 10th, 1965. That's what they literally think that that's where they are, because their brain is telling them that's where they are. Their mind goes all over the place. You see people with dementia, they will repeat the same things and ask you the same questions over and over, because they had no idea that they just asked you that question. Or they'll say, hey, let's go, they'll be talking to another person. They'll be talking to their nurse in the nursing home, thinking that the nurse that they're talking to is their daughter or their son. They're like, hey, Gloria, we got to get ready for school. And they're like, my name's not Gloria. My name is Donna Jill Tanner, and I'm your volunteer. The episode of Full House. Yeah, dementia deteriorates your brain. And when you have dementia, it gets worse. It gets worse. There's no cure for that. Your brain is just going to continue to deteriorate. It's hard to hold conversations. It's hard for you to be it's hard for you to be mentally present. It's difficult because your brain is literally not functioning the same way anymore. And then aphasia, I'm not entirely about that is. I'm not even going to speak on that. But if you know about it, then go ahead. If you want to look into it, go ahead by all means. But anyway, Wendy Williams has a couple of illnesses that she is dealing with, that she is going to have to deal with for the rest of her life. The last days of her life, the last years of her life, she is going to deal with that for the rest of her years, the rest of her days. However many years God has left of her on this earth, that's what she's going to have to deal with. Her latter days are not going to be better than her former days. Her latter days are worse than her former days, because in your formative years, when you're constantly building such a nasty foundation and you're putting out so much nasty energy out into the world, and that's the energy that you are sowing, what you're going to reap in your latter years is very prominent on what you were sowing in your former years. So if you want your latter day, use this as a lesson, baby. While you are in your former years of life, be a good person, be a good soul, have a good heart, be a warm-hearted person. Don't be a cold-hearted person, because if you spend a lot of years being a cold-hearted person, the world is going to turn around and be cold to you, so that you can see exactly how it feels to suffer. In the last years of your life, you're going to suffer until you're out of this planet, out of this physical realm, because of all the years that you made other people suffer. I have seen this happen in my own life, in my own people that I know, my own relatives. I have seen this happen. I'm seeing it happen as we speak. They were horrible in their former years, and now their latter years are so much worse, and they are suffering. Because that is the karma, and that is what they are reaping. You will reap what you sow. And if you want to reap good, then sow good. Sow a good seed.